This is a metaphor for your business's journey. Sometimes it feels like the world is throwing everything it has at you, and to succeed, you need someone to guide you through. That's what Dell Technologies advisors do. They have the tech advice to help you navigate whatever challenges you're up against and get you safely to where you want to be. Call an advisor today at 877-ASK-DELL and do more with modern devices and Windows 10 Pro.
This is a CBC podcast.
In Richmond County, Arishat, they looked around and discovered that their beloved playground was in disrepair, and they saw that as an opportunity. The members of the Arishat Community Development Association decided they would work toward an all-inclusive, accessible recreation park in Petit de Gras, Isle-Madame. The idea was to create an area where residents could enjoy spending recreational time, and it would provide an accessible play space for all. To talk about this, we have two members from the Arishat Community Development Association. Brandon Boudreau is the vice president, and Rochelle Sampson is the president of the Arishat Community Development Association. They're here with us this afternoon. Good afternoon, and welcome to you both.
Hi, thank you.
Hi.
Brandon, maybe we'll start with you. Tell us the story behind the idea and the reasons you wanted to pursue it.
Well, it all started out, we had a playground which was very close to the site that we're going to be building the new one, and it started to go downhill. There was a few safety issues with it, and a group approached the municipality, and we're trying to get it repaired, and it ended up being closed, and it was taking a little while, and at that time there was really no option for the kids. There was a playground up at the school, but you couldn't use it during school hours, and that's kind of really what sparked the interest for me. I think it's pretty important that we have something like this for the kids in our area.
And what impact did it have on the community life when the kids don't have a playground?
Well, you could see that the kids didn't have as much to do. Like, I grew up on the playground that ended up being closed, and I was just down the road from it, Rochelle also, and we spent many a days there together, even playing on it. And now I notice there's a lot of kids that they'd be walking around, but they didn't have many options for what to do. And not that it had any negative impact in our community, but if there's not many things for the kids to do, they may find something to do that's not in the best interest of the community. So basically, we just thought it would be a really great idea to give them that option.
And Rochelle, you wanted to make it accessible. Tell me how you came to that idea.
I think it's really important, at this day and age, no matter where you go and where you are, that any individual of any, mental ability or physical ability is able to access what everyone else is able to access. I think oftentimes individuals who have mobility issues or that have different mental capacities, they're often subjected to a separate experience than their friends, which just segregates them more and really defeats the purpose of any type of community build you're trying to accomplish.
When you were looking for things that would be appropriate and be accessible, what did you come upon?
We luckily had a lot of success. A lot of playgrounds are really gearing towards that right now. Halifax has had some really great outcomes and some builds that we were able to kind of take a look at and build our ideas off of. The suppliers we got to work with were well equipped and very knowledgeable in those areas, so that made it a lot easier for us. It's just you make spaces wide enough that wheelchairs can access and exit and enter very easily without being in anyone's way, so that they don't feel that they're hindering anybody else's experience. And on top of that, there's a lot of toys now that are really good for the sensory experience for children who are on the autism spectrum. There's music, there's touch, there's feel, there's smell. And so all of these toys and these equipment pieces are now kind of incorporated in park suppliers that they were able to show us that.
Brandon, what experience do you want the community to have around, because when you build something that's accessible in the middle of the community where everybody goes, it sends a really strong signal, doesn't it?
Yeah, it absolutely does. And that's really what we're trying to do here, is show everyone in our very tight-knit community. We already are pretty close. It's everybody knows everybody. And we want to show them that, we have the potential to grow and to build anything that we think is going to help our community. For example, the main focus, as it's our project will be done in phases, is the playground, which lots are focused on, but there's so many other items with this project. There's a walking track, there's dog parks. These are all things that people have mentioned to me in the past that it would be great to have in our area. So we're really hoping to try and hit as many of those wants and needs as we can to help basically build a better community for everybody and for a long time.
So do you have the space then to build the walking area?
Yep, we do. It was so next to a Colbopoor in Arishat was a baseball field, and now it's vacant, and the fencing has been taken down, and we have it all mapped out for each section of our project. The walking track will kind of be on the outside perimeter. We'll have the splash pad, the playground, the 2 dog parks, actually, one for larger dogs and one for smaller dogs, along with the exercise equipment, the outdoor exercise equipment, that is. So in our map, we have everything mapped out, measured out, and our suppliers know what we're looking to accomplish, and there's been no issues.
Rochelle,
it's a large space.
Rochelle, what's the timeline?
So unfortunately, it's been a bit extended due to the funding programs that we're kind of having access to. So ACOA has released a large funding application that we submitted for, so we're hoping to hear back from that soon. We were just kind of waiting for the election. So I think we're looking at about 3 years, depending on the funding. We've had really great success fundraising in our own community. We've been able to raise money quite quickly, which is so impressive and encouraging for our committee that's working so hard towards this. So, like I said, we're looking about probably, maybe 2 to 3 years.
What have you been told about the care and upkeep of the equipment once it's installed? What's the follow-through for your committee?
So we've specifically been looking at equipment that requires the least amount of maintenance possible, so that it doesn't fall on one person or a whole committee to keep this going. And if the committee kind of phases out, or you don't get the same people to take over, that it's not going to completely fall apart. So we're looking at things that are really built for the outdoors, that don't require a whole pile of upkeep, and that can somewhat sustain themselves. But we have talked about it as a committee, and we are prepared to do yearly maintenance or fundraise for certain pieces that may need to be replaced over time, as well as working with the municipality and other local groups to ensure that this project sustains itself for as long as it can.
So often, Brandon, when you're looking for development money from governments, they want to see community development, but they also want to see growth potential. How does this project contribute to the growth potential of the community?
Arishat is well known as a tourist destination, of course, not in the last 2 years due to COVID, unfortunately, but normally in our warmer months, there's people from all over, and they're here to see the sights. They're here to just basically take it all in. And I think this would really add to that sense of community we all have and hospitality. Any store you go into in our area is always very friendly, and we love meeting tourists and hearing their stories. This is just one more thing that they'll have available to them while they're here, especially if they're taking a family trip with young kids. They can spend the day at the splash pad, at the playground. The parents can maybe do a few laps, and they're still able to watch their kids while they're walking the walking track. So it's basically where we want people to see that Arishat is a place to be and a great place to visit.
When you go past that space right now, Rochelle, and it's in development, but when you look to see what the potential is, what do you see for the community?
I moved back here probably about 4 or 5 years ago now, and as a young adult who eventually will, look to raise a family in the community, I saw so many of my friends having to travel, a half hour or so to go to a park to entertain their kids and bring them for something to do. And for me, it was hard to see, and I really wanted to make a difference in that area, and not only for the kids, but we have such an eclectic generational we have so many generations on our island, and we have a lot of seniors and we have a lot of youth, and we want to keep that sense of community. We don't want the young to have to move away to have things to do. So for me, the potential of this is really the growth of the community we have, and hopefully the expansion and the encouragement for younger folk to want to move back to our island.
Well, thank you both for taking time with us today.
No, thank you.
Thank
We
you for
really
having us.
appreciate it.
Rochelle Sampson is the president, and Brandon Boudreau is the vice president of the Arichat Community Development Association.
For more CBC podcasts, go to cbc.ca/podcasts.